Hey guys, I wanted to make an updated KH1 AP Rando beta setup guide since some things have changed since the last one. So I'm just going to walk through the setup guide here using the website that already exists, and we'll go over how to create and install a seed using the new setup we have here. So I'll just start with the software setup. Again, you still need OpenKH and the randomizer software. So what I'll do is I'll follow this link over here. I'm just going to make a new folder on my desktop and call it KH1 Rando. And I'll just delete this. Okay, so I'll just save this zip here. And then I'll go back and pick up the other piece of required software, which is the latest release of the randomizer software. So I'll go here. And let's extract both these things. So I'll just extract them here. I'm just going to call this folder OpenKH. Okay. And now we've got this OpenKH folder. I'm going to delete this zip now, and I'm going to extract this folder as well. Okay. So now we have two folders. We have what was in our OpenKH installation, and we have what was in our KH1 Rando software installation, or zip. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set up OpenKH. So if you open up OpenKH, there should be a tools mods manager.exe. So you'll use this a lot. So what I like to do is let's create a shortcut. Let's see. Let's create a shortcut. Create shortcut. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to move it up a level. And I'm just going to call this mods manager. Make it a little bit easier. So you might see this prompt, just run anyway. Okay, so now we're going to set up our OpenKH installation. So I'm going to say we're going to use a PC release. I'm going to say Steam, see if it detects my installation automatically. Yeah, so I only have the 1.5 plus 2.5 collection. I don't own 2.8 on Steam. So I'll just hit next. Okay, so first thing we want to do on this screen, we want to install Panacea. Okay. And then we do need to install Lua backend, at least for KH1. So I'll just install Lua backend like that. We can do this. I think this makes the game open up a bit faster, but it's not required. So if it says create, just create it. And then we need to extract at least the KH1 data. So let's see. We do need the remastered files, and we are using Lua scripts, so we need to leave both of these unchecked. So I'll just extract the game data. And this is probably going to take some time. So I'll just wait until this is completed. Okay. Done. I'm going to hit next, and we're finished. So the thing to check right now would be, I'm going to close this for now. We're going to go into OpenKH. What we want to see is a data folder right here. So this is our extracted KH1 data. So just to make this easier, I'm going to also make a shortcut of this, and I'm going to move it. Probably, I'll just put it here as well, or I'll put it in the same directory as this. So that we have a mods manager, and we'll have the shortcut to the KH1 data. I'm going to call it KH1 data. I'll put a space. Okay. We've got the mods manager, we've got KH1 data. All right, so now our OpenKH is set up. So now we want to create a seed for us to install, right? So what we'll do is we'll go to the Rando website, which is kh1fmrando.com, and we'll click on Generate a Seed. Okay, so you can expand all of these groups of settings and decide what you want your settings to be. I think that the default settings are fine, so I'm just going to go with the default settings. I'll give this slot a name. You don't have to do this, but it's going to control, I believe, what the file name is. I can double check on that. But you can always just rename the settings file. Another thing that's important is this remote items setting. So if you aren't planning on playing connected to a server, an archipelago server, if you just want to play the seed offline, you want to leave this to off. It's off by default. And I'll go into, in the later half of this video, hosting a game on Archipelago and all that stuff. But if you just want to play a single player offline seed, just leave this off. Okay, let's say I've decided that these are my settings. I'm going to generate my settings file. Okay, yeah, it has default name, so that's my bad. But I'll just call it, let's call it KH1 default settings, right? We can just name this whatever we want. All right, so now we have our settings file. So what we can do on the same page is upload this file. So let me go into here, and I'll just take this file, my settings file that I just made, and I'll click Generate Seed. That might take a second. Okay, so now this is going to download our seed zip automatically. So I'm just going to put it, let's go tutorial seed in the same folder, right? Now you'll notice here also it says that our generation completed, and it gives us a seed link. So this seed link automatically hosts the game on Archipelago. Again, if you're playing offline, you don't really have to care about this. You don't really have to pay attention to it. But one thing you might be interested in is the spoiler log. If you want to look at your spoiler log, or even if you think that you might want to look at your spoiler log later, you can view it here. And, you know, maybe I don't want to spoil what this seed entails, right? So I'm just going to save it here and say, I'm just going to call this tutorial seed spoiler log.txt. I'm just going to save that. Right? So that way, if we want to look at the spoiler log, we can for this. Okay. So now we've got our seed zip, but this is not the mod. This is our, basically, it's the information that's required to create the mod. So how do we create the mod? We got to go into our Randomizer software, open up our mod generator, and this program is going to create our OpenKH mod, but it's going to take two things as input. One is the zip file that we just created. So let's grab this tutorial seed zip. And then it also needs to know where our KH1 data is. So it needs that because it's going to take the information from the seed zip that we just downloaded and apply that to the KH1 data in order to create the mod. So it wants the location of your KH1 data that you extracted. So I'm going to choose this. So now we've got our zip file and our KH1 data location. So if I click start, it has all the information it needs to create the mod. So you shouldn't see any errors. It's just execution finished successfully. And I'm just going to close this. So now you can see that there's an output folder just created. So we've got a mod. It automatically names it just whatever the date time is. So let's give this a try. I'll just rename it for this. So I'll say tutorial mod. Right. Let's rename it. Okay, so let's talk about how to install it. So we got to open KH mods manager. And we want to make sure that we're on Kingdom Hearts 1. And I'm going to select and install a mod. And we're going to go to our mod, which is in KH1 Rando, output folder, and here's our mod that we just made. So I'm going to open this, and you should see, I'll make this a little bit bigger. You should see this little icon, and you'll also see the seed. This is the hexadecimal value of the seed. So you can compare, you know, if you want to race or something, you can make sure that you guys are on the same seed by just comparing these numbers. You want to make sure that the mod is enabled by clicking on it. And then that's really all you need. You can just click mod loader, build and run. It'll automatically build the mod. So you see it opens up the Steam version of Kingdom Hearts 1. And it's very loud in my ear, but I think you can't hear it. But you'll see that it'll say Archipelago on the title screen if it installed correctly. I'm going to turn the game down a little bit for myself. So let's turn this way down. Okay. Another thing to check while it's open is if you press F2, it'll pull up this Lua console, and you can see all the Lua scripts that are running in the background. Sometimes it'll pull up in the background, like the game will still be in front. You can check to make sure the Lua console is open by looking at what windows are open under the Kingdom Hearts tab. And if it doesn't open, then you want to go back and reinstall Lua backend. Something went wrong with Lua backend, so that's the issue there. So yeah, that's the two main things that make the mod work, right? Is the Lua backend and Panacea, and you can tell if Panacea is working if you see the Archipelago logo right here on the title screen. So I know that that mod installed correctly, so I'm just going to go ahead and close the game. So now, if you are just interested in playing offline seeds, you're good to go. You know how to do it. I've shown you how to do it. So I'll talk briefly about how to play a multi-world game or just have remote items on. So if you want to generate your own games for multiple players, you want to have Archipelago installed. So let's download Archipelago. Okay, so I'm going to go to the setup guide. It should take me to the Archipelago latest release. Okay, so as of making this video, it's 6.3, 0.6.3. So I'll just download this, and I've already downloaded it, but I'll reinstall it. So I'm just going to install Archipelago. Yeah, I'll just leave all the defaults. Okay, and I'm going to choose not to launch the launcher immediately. Because what I want to see is where did this get installed? Yeah, if I search Archipelago, you see the Archipelago launcher. I can just go to open file location, and it looks like it's pulling up this shortcut. So let's follow it, right? So open file location here. Okay, so this is where Archipelago is installed for me. So installing Archipelago by default will include a kh1.ap world, but this is a little bit outdated. So we want to make sure that we have the latest version installed. So what we'll do is inside your kh1 Rando software folder, you should see an AP world. So I can copy that, and I'm just going to paste it here in Archipelago lib worlds. I'm just going to replace it. Okay, so now your kh1 AP world is updated to the latest, or at least the corresponding AP world that your version of the randomizer software is expecting. So everything's in sync. So now if you want to, let's say that you wanted to play a kh1 plus kh2 random, right? You wanted to mix the two of them together. What you can do is you can take a YAML or a settings file. Let's say we want to use the same settings that we used before. So I'll go back into here and grab my settings. So in the Archipelago folder, let's go back there. It looks like I closed it, so I'll go back. Yeah, here we go. So we should see this players folder, right? So let's put, I'll delete this for now. Let's put our kh1 default settings that we made on the website there. And then let's say we want to play kh2 with it, right? So that this is one slot or one player is going to play kh1. And then we want to have a kh2 seed mixed in, right? So I'll open up the launcher. This is a way to get kh2 settings, right? We can go template. So generate template options. I'll choose this. And it opens up this subfolder inside players where it's got all the games that I have installed for Archipelago. So I'll grab Kingdom Hearts 2 and paste it here. You can open it up and modify the settings if you want to. It requires some text editing. I'll just change the name. So I'll just say kh2 player, right? Another way to get this settings file is you can go to the Archipelago website and go to supported games, Kingdom Hearts 2, and go to options page. And this is another way to generate your YAML or your settings file, whatever you want to call it, for Kingdom Hearts 2 or any other game that you want to include. So the reason that we generated the settings file a little bit differently than using the Archipelago website for Kingdom Hearts 1 is because as of right now, the most updated settings and generation backend is not on the main Archipelago website. So these settings are a little bit out of date. If you're going to use the beta rando, I wouldn't use the settings that this website generates for Kingdom Hearts 1. But for the other games, it's fine. So I'll just show that as another option, right? So let's say I just name this kh2. I like all the default settings, so I'm just going to export options. And then we'll save it in our Archipelago location. So I've got that pulled up here. So I'll just copy this location and then go back and we'll go here. And I'll just save it as Kingdom Hearts 2, right? I'll just replace what we had before. Okay, So now in this players folder, we've got Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 settings files. What we can do is just click Generate, Archipelago Generate. You should see this little window pop up. And now in our output, you can see that I've got a lot of seeds here, but just from this current time, 1201, we just got a seed, right? So what do we do with that seed, that Archipelago seed? Well, we can go to the Archipelago website and we can host a pre-generated game. And then we'll go back to our Archipelago site and pull up this mod, or sorry, Archipelago folder, and pull up this mod and upload it. And now we've got the same page. If you notice, it's the same kind of page that Generation did over here, but now we've got 2 players, right? And it's got the same spoiler log. What we can do is create a room. And now, because this is multiple slots, it does require a connection to a server. So yeah, I think the next step would be, let's talk about how to connect to an Archipelago server with Kingdom Hearts 1, right? So this is a new generation, right? So it's a brand new seed. So what we need is a patch file for Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. You know, every game's got a different setup. But let's just talk about the Kingdom Hearts 1 side of things. So this is another example of a seed zip. This is not the mod, this is the seed zip. So what we need to do, just like before, is we need to feed it into our mod generator. So I'll do that. I'll open up the mod generator again. I pull up the seed zip that I just downloaded right here, and I'll start. Okay, so now we've got a new mod. So let's go to output. Here's our old mod, our tutorial mod. This is our multi-world example mod, right, that we just made. Same deal with OpenCage installed. You can see that our tutorial mod was E9D3. That's what it ended in. So when we install our multi-world example, it's a different seed, 3964, right? So it's the same deal. I'll build and run, and we can open the game. You know, so we should see the same things. We've got Archipelago on the title screen. We've got the mods in the background when I press F2. So everything's working fine there. I'm just going to turn this down even more. Okay, so how do we play the game and connect to the server that we just opened, this room, to play our seed and send items to Cage 2? Cage 2 can send items to us. Well, we need, again, another piece of Archipelago software, the KH1 client, right? So we can just double click on the KH1 client here, and we'll see this little window pop up. So it wants this information from this screen, right? So I'm actually muted all the way. So it wants this information from this screen, right? Really, the main thing is it should auto-populate archipelago.gg. It wants the port. So this is 6511. So I'll just replace that and connect. Okay, so it's asking for the slot name. So this is for KH1. So our KH1 slot name I chose as my username. So it's GICU. You just put in whatever's there. Okay, it says you're now connected, right? So in theory, if I play the game for a little while, and I'll just show that here, if I open up a chest or something, then I will possibly send an item to Kingdom Hearts 2. So there might be some other person playing Kingdom Hearts 2 that's connected in the Kingdom Hearts 2 client that would receive any item I find. So I'm quickly going to play through Dive to the Heart, choose my dream weapons. Okay. And I'll just go to Traverse Town. Based on my settings, I started with extra starting worlds. Oh, even better, I'll just go to Destiny Islands because I started with Destiny Islands by chance. So I'll just go there and we'll go try out some of these checks here. So if it's an item for Kingdom Hearts 2, when I pick something up, it should say AP item. AP stands for Archipelago. Basically, that means it's an item for someone else, right? So that's a Donald weapon. But you can see there that in the client, it showed that I found the Violetta, Donald's weapon, right? So let's try another check over here. we'll go to get the log, cottage. Okay, maybe one of these items will be a Kingdom Hearts 2 item. We'll see. We can check the rope and the cloth. So I'll go over here. All right. Let's check the cloth. Okay, raft materials. We haven't found anything for Kingdom Hearts 2 yet. Obviously, it's random, so I'm not going to know exactly what items are what until I pick them up. But let's try this. AP item. There we go. Okay, so let's see. See how it says Divine Bandana to Kingdom Hearts 2, and in the client it says Giku sent Divine Bandana to Kingdom Hearts 2. So what if it was me playing Kingdom Hearts 2, when I open up Kingdom Hearts 2 and connect, I'll receive a Divine Bandana. Or if it's another player playing, he should have just seen a pop-up that he got Divine Bandana from Kingdom Hearts 1. So that's kind of how that works. So it's just these two pieces of software combined, plus the server in the background, that connects everything together. So that's how you set up a multi-world rando. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to talk about in terms of settings and seeds and multi-worlds, right? So we'll go back to our generate a seed page. We'll go to miscellaneous settings. So it has to do again with the remote items setting. So now that we've talked about how to play a seed by yourself with the remote item settings off, and you can play a multi-world seed, again, in our example we used with remote items off, you sort of have the context to understand what this setting does, right? So there's three options for this setting: off, allow, and full. Basically, this is going to determine how your items are placed in your game and under what restrictions that happens. If remote items is off, it's going to place items in such a way that you can play offline, independent of a server, and any item that's for yourself, the game will give to you, not the server, right? So that's why the offline, if you're playing an offline seed not connected to a server, that's why that works, is because remote items is set to off. The other options are allow and full. And what allow means is, well, both of these settings, allow and full, both expect you to be connected to a server if you're going to turn them on, right? So allow is going to say, okay, items can be placed in such a way that the game itself can't give to you. For example, in Kingdom Hearts 1, you can't gain a Keyblade by leveling up, right? So Generation might place a Keyblade there if it's set to allow. And what that means is, if that happens, if an item is placed in such a way that the game can't normally give to you, then the server will handle it. You level up, and the server will know, okay, you're level 20. It's time to give them, Olympia. So that's an example. But any item that is placed legally, like just a potion and a treasure chest, that will still be given to you by the game as normal. And then the last option is full. This means that regardless of how items are placed, it will always be a remote item. So even if you open up a treasure chest and you find a potion inside, you'll still see AP item, and the server will send you a potion. So why would you want to do that? The big reason is if you're playing like a co-op seed where multiple people are playing on the same slot. That way, if somebody finds a potion, both players get it since they're playing on the same slot. That's one use case. Another is just if you don't want to lose your items when you die. Like, in normal Kingdom Hearts games, if you get knocked out in a certain room, you'll be sent back to when you first entered that room, and all the chests that you have opened are then unopened. With remote items set to full, you'll just get the items that you opened immediately, since the server is keeping track of what you should have. But the real use case is usually just if you want to play a co-op seed or something like that. Right? So what I would recommend, and how I personally play, is I just keep this off, right? So I don't mind the restricted item placement, because this just simplifies. It keeps all your items that are yours local to your game, and it's, if you're playing offline or online, it's going to work. The other Settings are really just for specific cases. If you really want specific items and locations they can't normally be or something like that, you can mess with it. But I really recommend you leave this as off unless you understand what it does. Um, but yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. The last thing I'll say is, the beta rando has a lot more checks than a lot of the other iterations of um, Kingdom Hearts randomizers. So there is a locations guide here. So you can, on the website, there's a locations guide link. And for any of these worlds, you can click on a world and you can see exactly how to find and where all the checks are. Another thing that's helpful with this, if you're going to use a server, you can use the missing command in the client. So let's say I want to see what haven't I gotten in Wonderland. I can get a list of all the checks that I haven't gotten in Wonderland yet. So let's see. Okay, this rabbit hole green trinity chest. Let me just search that rabbit hole green trinity. Yeah, so it's this very first one, right? So it tells you exactly what area it's in, what you need to open this, and exactly how to find it. So this one's pretty simple, right? But you can see that there's a lot of obscure checks, right? So the flowers in Wonderland, they give important items. So there's certain things like that that if you ever get stuck, if you feel like you've done everything that you can think to do to progress, check out this location guide because there could be some checks that you're not aware of. Some of the more obscure ones that I see people miss are the flowers and the chairs. There is this book that you can read in the bazaar room. There's this potted flower that appears after you light the first lamp in the upside down bazaar room. There's little things like that that you'll learn as you go, but this is a great resource for you to double check yourself and see if you've gotten everything that you think you've gotten. But yeah, other than that, I hope everyone has the information that they need. Of course, leave a comment if you have any questions or join the Discord. You can find the Discord link on the website on the Discord tab. So you can just join right here. But yeah, if there's any questions, just let me know. And I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks, guys.